And I remember at that time, I was just thinking like every day, it was like, how am I going to get through this, sort of thing. And I had verses with me everywhere. I had them in my purse, I had them on my phone. I had a sticky note on the dash of my car. I had a sticky note on my computer. I had sticky notes in the bathroom. Like that's just where I was, the headspace, that it was so hard that I had to see his truth everywhere, and really to meditate on that. And the awesome thing about that is, our feelings follow, right? We can focus on God's truth and not feel it, but eventually they follow suit in that too. And I think it's asking him to reframe the situation too, because, our vantage point is so small down here, right? And it's so hard to see his eternal perspective and what he's doing. And so it's not focusing really on our circumstances, but instead focusing on who God is. And like you talk about a lot on your podcast, whose we are, in that, and claiming that, and then kind of changing the why to what. If I'm honest, I think a lot of us too, right? It's so easy to get into the why God is this happening? Why are they acting this way? Why, and you just get in this spiral, because that's a really easy thing to do with the whys. And instead changing it to a what, what God are you trying to show me through this? What do you want me to see? How do you want to use this? And changing it to a different question. And then there's a couple more that kind of come to mind if we have time that I can share.
Yes, it's so good. I'm like, you guys better be taking notes over there. This is great.
Yeah. I think it's the second to last one is really kind of thinking of others, and God always wants us to be thinking about others. And I'm a visual person, so I like to think of having our antennas up. I know on the days that I'm not looking for those divine appointments, they don't typically happen. Like if we are alert and we're asking for those things and we're asking, for God to use us, he will answer and he'll put people in our paths. And it seems really counterintuitive, especially if you're in the middle of it, you're in a dark place and you're really, it's hailing overhead and you're struggling, to think about, others in that. But the beautiful thing that I found in that is there's healing for them in that, as you're able to comfort them with the comfort that you've received, and encourage them. But there's healing for you as we leverage our stories. And it's really just asking God for those divine appointments, asking him, is there one person that I can encourage today? One person that I can encourage this week? Hey, I've got to go pick up my kids up at, whatever today. Show me one person that I can, talk to and connect with and maybe just bless them today, and that sort of thing too. And it will change, it would completely change your lens. Makes me think of it was Joyce Meyer like years ago, where I just picture her doing the like, what about me? What about me?
Yes.
The robot thing, and honestly, in the flesh, that's our default, right? We wake up and it's like, what about me? What about me in that? And so it just makes you look up and look out, to others, and just don't be afraid to let God use it, to use your story. I think, as women too, it's tempting to want to like hide your scars and hide the hard things that you've been through. But we've all been through stuff, and you live around, live long enough, like you're going to go through some stuff, right? There's none of us have arrived, but I really believe it's that, often it's in those hard places in our lives that God will birth those passions and those purposes for something far greater, far, far greater in that he's got a purpose and a plan, and he's got he's good in that.
He is. And it's really interesting. The very last piece that you're talking about associated to like, let him use it is that release component. It's like continued surrender, because even as you become and you've finally gotten to another side of health, or you've gotten to another side of the story, or maybe you're even in the midst of it, is like, the enemy is trying to attack you in those spaces. And that's why that's so good to talk about the truth of God, the affirmations that you had around you to really resonate and be meditating on his word, because otherwise you're going to stay stuck in the shame. You're going to stay stuck in the comparison. You're going to stay stuck in the dark. And the intention is like, if we can put these things in the light, you actually find out, like, very quickly actually, how you are not alone. And it's the moment that you say something out loud that that thing goes viral, or that thing becomes the isolating factor for somebody to not go through the same exact situation that you did, because you were brave enough to speak out about it. And so you become then the resource that, and the conduit to which we get to point people back to God, which is ultimately the whole reason that he says to
Yeah.
testify, right?